this is graph 2, this is graph 1. The rent was $1,000 for an apartment. After the hurricane, homes were destroyed and there was a shortage of apartments. So, since there was a shortage of apartments, homes were destroyed, people were charging high rents, like $1,000 for an apartment, right? What happens, government stepped in and said that you have to lower the price to $800. So you have to charge $800 rent. Now, what happened was, supply first decreased because houses were destroyed. Prices went up. So 1,000, so let me just look at this graph. So supply was decreased because houses were destroyed. What happened was price went up to 1,000 because supply decreased. Now the government stepped in and said that you have to charge $800. So if you cannot charge 1,000, you have to charge $800. What happens is, if you charge $800, the supply would decrease, and at $800, demand will be high, so QD will be greater than QS, and this will create a shortage. So hurricane destroy houses, supply decreases, and price or rent increases to 1,000. So the market price or the natural price was 1,000 after there was destruction of houses. But government stepped in and they said that you have to charge lower prices to 800. And what happened? With price of 800, people stopped supplying the apartments and the demand was too high, and that created a shortage. A better way to deal with this is to give subsidy to the landlords. And what that will do is that will increase supply and decrease demand, decrease the price. So subsidy will increase supply and decrease the price. And it won't create a shortage.
On your graph, what was the cause of the supply shift?
So supply decreased because houses were destroyed.
So, but then there's also a quantity supply decrease as well. So there's two decreases.
Quantity supply is decreasing because government put a price gouge or a price ceiling.
But there was also a shift. And that was also from the price ceiling?
No, so first there was a shift, okay.
Wow.
Then the government said, there was a shift and the new price was 1,000, right? Government said you cannot charge 1,000, you have to charge the old price of 800. So they were forcing the price on it. Now with the old price, what was happening is that the suppliers couldn't supply the houses and there was an increase in demand, so there was a shortage. So this was after the hurricane destroyed the houses, the supply decreased. Now the new market price of the apartments was supposed to be 1,000. But the government said, no, you have to charge the old price, which was 800. So this was the old initial market price.
Yeah, I actually missed the hurricane destroys houses part.
Okay. But does this make sense?
Yeah, I was.
Okay, everyone else. Yeah, any other questions?
Wait, so like giving subsidy to landlords is the better way to do it? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, so So, the better way to do is government can give a subsidy, can give a subsidy of $200 to the landlords,
For what?
and that way, even though there is a shift in supply, there are less houses, the supply will be high. That will maintain the quantity supply high. So this is the amount of subsidy to give.
Professor, why government should give subsidy to the landlord instead of giving subsidy to the one who rent the house?
Because houses were destroyed and they are homeowners and they are the ones supplying the houses. So at $800 they're not able to supply it anymore.
Yeah.
They can supply it at 1,000. They're not able to supply it at 800, so they should give it to the landlords so they can supply the houses at 1,000, which is the market price now.
More confusing. Given subsidy is to be able to rent at $800
Yeah.
or to be able to rent at $1,000.
The initial rent was $800.
$800. Now it is
After the
$1,000.
hurricane, it is 1,000.
$1,000.
So initial rent was $800. After hurricane, you can also write this down if it's not, after hurricane, rent increased to 1,000, but the government asked to keep it low at the previous price. To keep it low at the old price of 800. Write that down, write that bit down so it will make sense later. Initial rent was 800, after hurricane, rent went up to 1,000, but government asked to keep it low at the old price of 800. But there's a better way of doing that. And what's that way is to subsidize it to keep the quantity supply at the high level.
How is that keeping the, like, I don't understand how that subsidy works, that doesn't make sense.
We're just saying that the old price was, or the initial price was 800,
So the
give them
government's
subsidy
giving
for 200.
the suppliers $200.
Yeah, government can give a subsidy to suppliers for $200. So when they give them the subsidy of $200, now the suppliers can actually rent out the apartment. They are able to do it at that price. Suppliers can only supply at 1,000. With the new condition of the market, they can only supply at that price. If the government is going to ask them to supply at 800,
Yeah.
they won't be able to. It will create a shortage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like, why would they make it $800 and give them $200?
They're not making $800. There was a shift. There was a shift in the market because of the hurricane.
Oh, yeah.
We'll talk more about it on, what, Monday? Yeah.
Are we gonna have a quiz on Monday or not?
No, let's not have one. That doesn't mean you don't have to study. Okay, you still have to study.
trying.
No, it's,
Yeah, Brazilian price border. Yeah, I also listen to the YouTube at home.
what?
I also study at home Brazilian price border.
Yeah.